guys, you probably know as per the title of this video that today's video is entirely different. Today's video I'll be talking about my experience in Canada. Now my experience may be different from your experience. I'll be talking about how I came to Canada, why I came to Canada, and what I'm currently doing in Canada. So without wasting much time, let's get to the video. So I'll first begin by how I came to Canada. I came to Canada in 2015. Prior to 2015, I had already been in Canada as a high school student through a student exchange program. So I was here in 2014, finished that exchange program, went back to Ghana, and then came back in 2015 for school. I went to senior high school in Ghana, St. Thomas Aquinas Senior High School. I'm an old Tom, and I graduated in 2014. I've been in Canada for about 8 years. Fast forward, the school I was admitted to is called Mount St. Vincent University. It is located in Bedford, Nova Scotia. I was in Mount St. Vincent for about 5 years. Graduated, got my postgraduate work permit, got a job after a year, and then applied for permanent residency, on track to apply to become a Canadian citizen. The application process for a study permit. Number one, you first need to apply for a school. Go online, search for the school that you want to apply to, search for the requirements that you need to apply to the school, provide all the documents that you need. Once you're admitted, then you can proceed to apply for your study permit. It's important to get an admission letter from the school. The admission letter that you're going to get would highlight the amount of tuition you're going to pay, or how much tuition you're going to pay. It's also going to highlight your other living expenses. It's also going to state the course that you've been admitted to, your start date, and your completion date. Now this information is very important because when you're applying for the study permit, the form would ask for some of this information. Once you have your admission, proceed to go on the Canadian government website and then apply to come to Canada to study. Then next, you create your account, the questionnaires that they give you, and then based on the answers you give, the documents that you need to submit will be generated for you. Most of the things that they do require is 1, your offer letter, which is the admission letter; 2, your passport photo, the bio data page of your passport, family background information, 5, proof of funds, and then the application itself. So once you're able to provide all this information, so then you proceed to pay for your application fee. If you've already done biometrics, you won't be required to do biometrics. That means immigration already has your biometrics. But if you haven't, and this is your first time applying to come to Canada, you would be required to do your biometrics, which would be an additional cost of about $85 Canadian dollars. I'm not entirely sure how much time or how long it takes to process applications these days. Maybe 6 to 8 weeks. Once your application has been processed, the final step probably is submit your passport. And I'm speaking in terms of like Ghana. You'll be asked to submit your passport so that a visa can be put into your passport. Now the visa that you receive in your passport is not the study permit, it's just a visa to get you into the country. And once you're at your point of entry, that is where you'll be issued your study permit. So the study permit is a paper. The paper is what allows you to study in Canada, and the visa, which is the stamp in your passport, is what allows you to enter Canada. All that I've said is the same process that I went through. So I got my visa and got on a flight here to Canada. At the border entry, I was asked, what am I coming to do in Canada? I told them I'm coming to study at Mount St. Vincent University. I was asked if I have paid tuition already, but by then I had paid some amount. So I told the immigration officer that I haven't paid yet, but I've paid this amount to the school. I had all the documentation available, which I think you should once you've been given a visa. I was issued a study permit. The study permit has some conditions on them, the normal conditions. I could work. Canadian study permits usually come with work permit as well, so which means that you can work while going to school at a specific number of hours. So during school session, I think you're allowed to work up to a maximum of 20 hours, and then when school is not in session, which is around the summer months, you can work for as long as you want. So that's what I did and got through school, through 5 years of school. I was fortunate. I got a God-sent host family to host me for the entire 5 years. So I wasn't paying rent, I wasn't paying for food, I wasn't paying for accommodation, I wasn't also paying for even phone bill. I think I wasn't paying for phone bill as well, so that was a blessing. Now your experience might not be like mine, which means that you may have to pay for accommodation. You would also have to pay for your phone bill, you pay for groceries, the food and everything. It's going to make it very hard for you to save money, or like if you're thinking you're going to use the money you make to pay for your tuition. Sorry to say that in Canada right now, the situation that we're facing right now, it's close to impossible because rent prices are high, grocery prices are high, gas prices are high, so you wouldn't have enough to even pay for these things, let alone to pay for your tuition. Fast forward, I graduated. Upon graduation, I applied for my postgraduate work permit. Because I went to a public designated learning institution, I was eligible to apply for a 3-year postgraduate work permit. If you did a 2-year program, you are eligible for a 2-year postgraduate work permit. If you did a 1-year program, you are eligible for a 1-year postgraduate work permit. So take note of that. Then COVID hit, so we're all home. But I got a job at the university in the IT department. This was a full-time job. Through this job, I was able to apply for my permanent residency a year after. I'll do a separate video also about my permanent residency experience and the whole process and how long it took. So I'm currently 2 years into my permanent residency. I'm not a Canadian citizen yet, although it's kind of like similar that both enjoy similar privileges. Being a permanent resident, you don't have a Canadian passport, you cannot vote, you cannot also hold some ministerial offices or government positions. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I could enjoy the same privileges that a Canadian would enjoy. Now, being a permanent resident, you need to renew your permanent residency every 5 years, and you cannot stay out of the country for more than 6 months at a time. If you do that, that means you stand a chance of losing your permanent residency. So these are some of the things that you have to take note when you become a permanent resident. But I'm sure by the time you get to this level or this stage, you probably know so much like I do. Now, advice. And this advice goes to my fellow Ghanaians who are looking to come to Canada for school. Over the years, I've encountered a lot of Ghanaians who also come in for school and didn't have enough information and just came here for school. One advice I'd give to you is please do your research. Do your research very well. I can't stress this enough. Do your research about the school, the province, where it's located. You don't want to get here and then your school is located about 1 hour away, meanwhile you're staying in the city and your school is so far away and didn't know this. I believe that if you're able to read all the information on the internet, then you can easily apply for your visas for yourself. Hence, you may not require the assistance of an agent who may charge you exorbitant fees. I'm not trashing anyone's business, but I believe that if you're able to read and understand all the information that you're seeing about coming to Canada and watching videos like this, then you shouldn't have a problem of applying to come to Canada for studies. Number 2, I would also advise that for those that are limited with funds, so for example, you do not have enough money to take you through a 4-year degree, I wouldn't advise you to come study a 4-year program. What I'd rather advise is if you have limited resources, if you have funds enough to cover you for a year or a 2-year program, that's your option. That's your go-to. This way you would graduate faster, you get your postgraduate work permit, you're able to work, and then hopefully get your permanent residency, and then you can go back to school. Now, being a permanent resident means that you won't be paying as much tuition as an international student will be paying. And that's one of the perks of also being a permanent resident. Please make sure the course that you're going to take or the course that you're taking, if you are limited in funds, the course that you are taking is something that has job readily available for you to do upon graduation. Oh, and one last thing, please make sure that the school that you're selecting, again, this goes into researching about the school. Make sure that the school that you are selecting or you choose to apply to is a designated learning institution that would make you eligible upon graduation to apply for a postgraduate work permit. You do not want a situation whereby you're done paying all this tuition and then upon graduation you later realize that the school that you went to, you cannot apply for postgraduate work permit. So I've said a lot. Next time I'll try to go into details about my experience, how I went through university, and how I made it this far. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video. Bye.